I'm a happy person today. I'll tell you why. I got an iPhone 6. I am one of the lucky 82 million people that got this within the first 15 minutes. And for those of you who did not, those of us who did, look upon you with compassion. You are clearly part of the huddled masses of misery, but you'll be led out of darkness by the Apple Corporation. I love this phone. I love this phone. It has an app, a new app. When you get this phone, you have to get the app. You download this app free, and for the rest of your life, it downloads all the rest of the apps without your permission. If, by some chance, you do not download every other app from the Apple Corporation, they know where you live and they come to visit you at home, and you get retrained. I was reviewing the speaking list that the convention has this year, wonderful group these next few days, and I've noticed that every single consultant on the planet Earth has been invited to speak here. The only two people on the speaking roster that are not consultants are me and Allison. Presumably because we're the only two guys not qualified to be consultants. And these consultants have figured every conceivable way that you can give them money. You'll notice that one of the speeches that I notice is, of course, is a session on the impact of technology on business. And presumably, if you're not digitally sensitized, you will be led by one of these consultants out of darkness into the light. I come from a company that is digitally insensitive, I'm afraid. Because we've come to the conclusion over the years that it isn't really about the equipment, the stuff, even the iPhone 6. Because we believe, where I come from, that only people can make people happy. And we are very dedicated to that principle. Today, I was thinking about what to say. I got invited to have this spot on the program several months ago by Jeff. I was very excited. And I said, well, I got to take this very seriously. This is an important moment. All the gaming people are here, all the purveyors. So I sat down and I spent, it was about 2 months ago, I spent several days writing a speech. And I forgot where I put it. No speech. Now I've been left to my own devices with you. I want to talk about two things. One of them is, you know, we were lucky enough to just get named with a license in Boston. We have, as a company, failed to take advantage or attempt to take advantage of any of the riverboat or racino deals in the past. And there was a reason for that. And in order to explain the point that I'd like to make, the riverboats, the racinos, were all businesses that really took advantage of a strategic moment where they could have the opportunity to satisfy the need to play a slot machine or gamble at a blackjack table in a particular part of the United States. And these places were built by very smart guys, and they were basically boxes of slots and tables. And they relied upon a geographic monopoly, a geographic dominance, and an opportunistic moment strategically to take advantage of some pent-up demand for gaming in one state or one region or another. They sprouted quickly. Several companies were created to meet that demand, and they prospered, and they now run into problems. The recession exacerbated that situation. But we didn't, as I said a moment ago, we didn't take advantage of it, because basically we felt insecure about gaming itself. And I'd like to explain that further. Years ago, when I was a young guy, I started at the Gold Nugget downtown. Fremont Street, a very structured market. Price was everything, you know, the 99-cent breakfast, the free shrimp cocktail, all that sort of thing, and slot machines. The places lined up on Glitter Gulch down there with their bright electric signs. It was great fun. It was a carnival midway of slot machines and free shrimp cocktails. When I got to the Golden Nugget as a young guy, I thought to myself, I'm just one of the gang here. And therefore, I really don't have a way of exceeding the average revenue stream of the gang. That wasn't satisfying to me. And so it began a journey that has brought us to today, where we've developed some thoughts on the subject. Regional casinos were very much the mentality of Fremont Street. What we realized then is that gaming revenue was an effect, not a cause. I make this point by pointing out that starting at the Golden Nugget, where we spent $200 million or more, on a street where people spend 50 or 60. We spent that money on rooms and restaurants and attractions and entertainment that had little to do directly with gaming. But they brought people who were interested in experiential moments, who also found time to gamble while they were doing it. This focus on non-gaming resulted in the Golden Nugget at one point making more money than all of the casinos on Fremont Street combined. I saw this happen. I was a passenger on that bus with my colleague, and it made a lasting impression on me, to the point when we built the Mirage, we spent $620 million in a city that had a $200 million investment average. Even Caesars was $200 million or so. Caesars Palace had created a glass ceiling. They had won $400 million. No one on the Strip had ever gotten past 300 except Caesars Palace. That was the foundation stud. That was the standard of the industry. When we built the Mirage for all that money, we built 3,000 rooms all at once, which had never been done anywhere in the world. But more importantly, we built restaurants and then stores that we operated ourselves. We expanded the scope and the luxury of our spa. We started putting things in front of the building that didn't have a cash register attached to them. A volcano that erupted, a fanciful and silly idea that was thought up by our landscape architect, our lighting designer, and our landscape architect, David Hersey and Don Brinkerhoff. Even though Caesars Palace had been the glass ceiling, the Mirage won over $500 million. The first casino in the history of the state of Nevada to win more than $500 million in 1 year. What is interesting about that is that the Mirage had $600 million in non-gaming revenue. At no time did the gaming revenue of Mirage exceed its non-gaming revenue. The new glass ceiling was now $500 million, established by that establishment in 1990. Now comes the Bellagio, 1998. $1.75 billion, an outrageous number, not including the paintings. The art collection was more money on top of that. The glass ceiling was fractured one more time, and the Bellagio won $600 million, a number that everybody thought was impossible to get. It broke the Nevada gaming history record for the up until that period in history. And what was interesting is that there was $800 million in non-casino revenue. Once again, Bellagio had less gaming revenue than non-gaming revenue. And then we built the Wynn. A friend of mine told me that even he couldn't make money at the Desert Inn. And I reminded him that development makes the location, not the location makes the development. And in the first year of the Wynn, $700 million, a new glass ceiling, but $900 million in non-casino revenue. Once again, gaming revenue breaks the historical record and is less than the non-gaming revenue. And then Encore opens right into the face of the recession on December 22nd, 2008. Can you think of a worse time to open this meeting than a December 22nd, 2008? I had been the benefit of timing several times in the history of Las Vegas. I bumped into the Japanese wave in '89, the prosperity of the '90s, but at Wynn, at Encore, right into the darkest cavern of the recession. Wynn and Encore, the year before last year, went to 858 million. A new record in the history of the state of Nevada for gaming revenue. But the non-gaming revenue, $1.1 billion. Now there's a lesson here. For me, it started at the Golden Nugget and has continued unabated every single decade since then. We've been at it all this time. Nothing's changed, including the iPhone stays coming along. Nothing's changed. Now, the state of Massachusetts announced that they're going to have a casino in Boston. The Boston metropolitan area is going to have a casino. The first really big city, metroplex, the first big international destination city of sorts to have a gaming. I said to myself and my colleagues, hey, wait a minute. The era of the Grand Hotel has come and gone. There'll be no more Waldorf Astorias or plazas built because the cost of construction and the room rate, thanks to Hotels.com and Expedia, don't match anymore. We've had laws to protect the public from monopolies and cartels, but no one ever thought there'd be a buyer's cartel. It's called the internet. Yeah. But all of a sudden, although the age of the Grand Hotel had passed, and all the hotels built in all the cities today, in Chicago, New York, they're multi-purpose structures. Shopping center on the bottom, then a bunch of floors of offices, then a hotel up on the 42nd floor, then some floors of hotel rooms, and then finally condominiums. Places to stay if you have to be in the city, but by no means destinations unto themselves. Now, the era of the Grand Hotel had gone away, except now in Massachusetts is this unusual moment, at least in my eyes, the chance to build a Grand Hotel again. No hotel in the United States of America, outside of this city, has hotel rooms that are in excess of 600 or 700 square feet per room. Now, they're old hotels, refurbished, a few new ones built as layers of a layer cake in a condominium tower or shopping center and office building. But the rooms are small and the lobbies are conveniently tucked into the tower somewhere. But for a gracious arrival, for an experiential moment, all of a sudden we had an opportunity presented in Boston that we could build a Grand Hotel again. Imagine the fun of that. A spectacular arrival, real convenient parking, hotel rooms, spa, shops, restaurants, as fanciful as those that are in these hotels up and down the strip, but not in the cities. But we could do it in Boston. And then down the hall, like a convention space by itself, totally accessible from the garage, but in no way mixed in with the rest of the hospitality attractions, would be a room of gaming equipment that would justify the return of the Grand Hotel. And we said to ourselves, Boston. All those universities, all those kids from around the world. And then we see Hainan Airlines and Cathay Pacific announce nonstop service from Beijing and Hong Kong. God is on the side of the Jews.